For my capstone, I wanted to explore something in the automotive customization field, focusing on the interior and fabricating different parts and mods. One reason I truly love pursuing this feeling is a success and accomplishment by changing the way that the car makes you feel when driving down the road. A big reason why car companies design their cars the way that they are is because they want that interaction and the best user experience. And enhancing that feeling by yourself shows independence and hard work. I feel like God has given me the gift to be creative. And we're all made to create as humans because God um, created us to find what makes us happy in like different ways, like music, welding, firefighting, or running. But I show this through cars. Uh, this is something I love doing, and it brings out a different person who loves to create. One story occurred 2 years ago when I finally got my car and license. And my friend Riley was talking about subwoofers. He wanted to sell me one that he was getting rid of, and I bought it from him. We installed it in my car, and ever since I've been tinkering with it and messing with it. Around Thanksgiving 2 years ago, uh, Riley talked me into getting a bigger subwoofer with a little bit more power and wattage. So we both took a trip down to Denver, where this guy lived, and we also got an amplifier to go with it. But it was from this guy that refurbishes them and sells them again. Um, he kind of lived in this sketchy apartment with lots of subwoofers in it, and the one that he was selling us was super heavy. But we finally got it back home, and a little while later, I ordered a box off of Amazon to put it in. And I wired it all up, and the next day I found that it was blown. And it made this awful noise, and I got really angry at myself because I wasted all that money on it. And I stopped messing with my car for a little while, and but I still had the one that Riley gave me um, a little previous ago. Um, so this is how my interest in this topic started. And I love the idea of staying up all night and fixing or adding a part on a car, and uh, doing it with a friend makes it so much better. I had some up and downs at the beginning, and but I gained more knowledge and I found better ways to do different things. This year has really opened my eyes to this idea, and it's really what I love to do. Genesis 1:26 says, "Then God said, 'Let us make mankind in our image, after our likeness, and let them have domination over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the heavens, and over all the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth.'" I like this verse because it applies deeply to my capstone with the virtues of creation and creativity. Um, my capstone is car customizations, and through this I learned how God made mankind to create, and how God's creation has purpose down to the smallest of details. Through my years at Front Range, this virtue of patience has fulfilled my life. This year, I really wanted to practice patience, and that was through my capstone. Because when you're putting something together or painting something, you have to be very careful. And if otherwise, you'll end up ruining it. And with experience in doing it yourself, you gain knowledge and skills way more than sitting with a textbook. All equipment is different, and having a knowledge of those different brands helps. And this is what I hope to gain pursuing this career and the rest of my life. Last year, I was painting one of my dash pieces red, and I really rushed through it, and it came out really bad. Um, but I kept it for a while, and then when I decided to do this for my capstone, I said that it had to go. And instead of painting it, um, I used a carbon fiber vinyl wrap, and it turned out way better than before. Through this, I learned that making mistakes is a part of life, and we all have to deal with problems um, with any path you take out of high school. But doing every little detail makes you, it pushes you to your limit and makes you way better. At the beginning of senior year, we took a retreat and we were told that we were going on a 14er. And I was really excited because I haven't done one before. I chose to talk about this experience because it really relates to my capstone and how this year has challenged me in so many different ways. Like gaining skills in the connections in the car community and knowledge. And that mountain was our first challenge. This capstone has really pushed me to think outside the box, and it has shown me how to solve different problems when working with your hands. And patience is a good virtue um, when you work because it applies to everyday life. Being creative in how humans overcome different obstacles is really important when working on a car because you might run into something that you haven't seen before and you just need to take a step back and breathe. I was working on Mr. Spector's car and or the stereo, and it didn't fit the way that I wanted it to. And when you get a new stereo, you have to get out also you have to get a trim piece to go around it to hold it. And I tried a lot of different things, but it would never fit. And I realized in that moment that I needed to calm down and probably ask my dad for help. And the problem was that I didn't read the directions, and you had to break off these plastic tabs depending on what type of car it was. And it was a Honda, and because the trim piece is universal. Um, we finally finished, and it fit pretty well, but it wasn't my car, so it had to be perfect. But in this semester, I was going to finish that project, but unfortunately, I couldn't because of the virus. It was an overall success, and it was challenging because I've never done that before. And it was a good learning experience, and it taught me how to look for details and think outside the box. During the end of February, I got the chance to go to California to interview this electric car company named Biden. They showed me around the whole facility, and the coolest part was all the technology that went into the car and the different features of the car, and it was super cool to see um, like what a new company is doing. Um, and I thought this was really interesting because the reason why you work on a car or clean your house or clean your room is to make that experience better. And this applies to my capstone in so many ways. All this plays into being creative because when you're making something out of scratch, or you could find yourself stuck in a lot of places. And it's super hard to be creative, but what's even harder is making that a reality. I struggled with keeping motivated, and this has taught me how to push through and finish what I started. The final thing that my capstone has taught me is how to be diligent. Through this year, I found some difficult obstacles that that I ran into, and I chose diligence because it's the motivation and desire to uh, finish something out to completion. I have practiced this, but it's also something that I want to keep striving for because I've noticed I like to take the easy way out. Uh, it's a virtue that has stuck by me since kindergarten. Everyone's Everyone wants success, but no one wants to put in the work to get better or learn new skills. I've fallen in a place where I've gotten lazy and unmotivated to do anything. Um, and when working on a car, there are so many obstacles that you run into. This summer, I put in a new digital receiver or a stereo, and I knew it was going to be a lot of work installing, but I also needed an amplifier for the speakers. And that amp was like the most difficult thing that I've done up to that point. And I was so excited when it finally worked. And uh, and after I needed to tune the amp, and that is like one of the most crucial things that you have to do to make your speakers sound good and run way better. This year, I got the privilege to read Shop Class as Soulcraft by Matthew B. Crawford. Um, and this book has shown me the importance of working with your hands and how it's gained through the experiences you have. Um, this book is heavily influenced by Crawford's mechanical background in motorcycles. Um, the book tells about the trades or different trades, like machining and doing physical work, can shape your character and bring virtues. I interviewed Ray Hines, and he's one of the top installers um, at Car Toys. And he said something that really impacted me when I asked the questions, is there anything negative about the job? He replied, some people just apply for the job wanting a paycheck and doing it just for the money, instead of wanting to learn what we do here at Car Toys. And I thought to myself, I don't want to be like that. And I want to keep striving to learn more, and because it's what I love doing. This semester, I have really thought about what I want to do prior to high school, and my love on working on cars. And I find myself making a career out of this. God has put these virtues in my life to challenge me about every aspect. And last semester, Mr. Spector told me to dream big. And one of my goals for this semester was to go and interview a big car company. And when my dad told me that we had this opportunity to go to California, I was super excited. I found out way more about myself um, and what I wanted to do prior to high school and what I really wanted to go. And I thought about, do I really want to go into this field or be an automotive technician? With the virus going around, I wasn't able to do some of the things that I was hoping to do. But after this whole pandemic, I'm going to strive to learn new skills and keep learning as much as I can. I also wanted to learn what they do at Car Toys, including the basics of wiring a car and the different techniques to modify other parts. Um, in this stage of life, we're learning who we are and what we want to do and how we want to leave this legacy at Front Range. Uh, and everyone chooses their own path, but I found what I love doing through cars. God shows us how to create, so let's worship Him with creations of our own. Genesis 1:26 says, "Then God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Let them have domination over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." We are made to create, and this is what I love doing through cars.